Test mic. Test mic. Okay, let me check the video if we are audible or not. Test mic. Okay, let me check the video if we are audible or not. I wish I had a camera that, so small that I can just put it right here so it doesn't have to interfere with our stuff here. Okay, so we'll be continuing the Virgin of the Rocks, and why it took so long is because it didn't seem to want to dry. Like, the topmost part is dry enough, but down here it's still a little bit sticky. But let's just go with it. I mean, it's taking too much time. And what we're going to be, so this is from after the imprimatura, right? So we covered it with a thin layer of white. Now we have a little bit of brownish here since our base canvas was reddish gray. So we're gonna use burnt umber black and maybe some white later on, but I wanna just start with this, and I want to talk about the medium. Yes, this is very important if you want to do the shading that Leonardo does. What I found is that it's important that your medium is a little bit sticky, and I've read in Leonardo's treatise or tutorial that he kind of advises to have like his medium to be standing for a few days. So as far as understanding why he advised that, yeah, it's because when your medium is sticky, you're able to shade much better than shading with a very fluid paint. So if your paint is a little bit sticky, you can shade like dry, like you would be doing in a dry medium. So what we're going to be using, he advised a soft brush, but our technology has allowed us this. But I'm gonna try a few brushes here. This is just a kid's brush, a better quality one. This is for watercolor, but it's synthetic and it's very soft. It's really very soft. So I like it fluffy, just to when you're trying to spread the paint. It's going to be so much finer, but we could try this too. It's a hog hair brush, and I really want to try it. So for painting this, I looked into the original, looking at it right now, and as far as I can see in the eyes, there is a darker portion here on the eyes. Here, it's like the iris, and surrounding it is just a lighter color. So I think what I'm gonna do is just focus on the darkest parts right now, the darkest lines that I can find, and then when it dries a little bit, maybe add more or just come back to it later. So what we're going to do right now is actually focus on drawing the darker lines. Like, for example, you find here he has a It's a brownish line here, goes here. At this one, this stage we are at the kind of middle color here, because we're just using the raw umber without black. So we're gonna add the black later, and I'm using liquid, so it after 30 minutes it's gonna set, and it will allow me to either just spread a little bit the pigments or layer onto it another more layer, add more layer to it. But it depends, because sometimes when it's set, the paint is already sticky. You're just gonna ruin it if you try to touch it. So it's better just keep it, just wait for it to dry, and then just add more later. So I'm gonna try to see if I can spread some of this without it being too movable. Like if it's too fluid and your canvas is not very absorbent, and if your canvas is too absorbent also, it kind of prevents you from actually spreading your pigment. So sometimes it's easier to darken your paints here using his method. It's like a watercolor method. So it's easier to darken something than lighten it with white, because if you start using white, it's gonna change the relationships of the colors, and you're gonna be forced to paint white. But regardless, we're still going to be using white later on to enhance the brighter areas, to create the forms that we need. So yeah, so another thing is that, like we talked about before in the past, like a lot of people think that Leonardo used some kind of magical method to create his paintings, but actually he's just using transparent or semi-transparent paint, and the amount of layers is not actually every surface, like all of the surface. It's not actually all of the surface. There's some parts that have like multiple layers, because he, using transparency, you can modify it just to achieve the goal. Like that's what I learned from exploring Leonardo's methods, and understanding his methodology, how he thinks, is by experiencing exactly what he was trying to do, and by learning to paint with semi-transparent paint, you kind of figure out that the only way to achieve the only way to think about it, the best way to think about it, the process, is not to restrict yourself to like the way we think when when people talk about how Leonardo painted. They kind of make us believe like he was like a printer that prints thin layers every page, like kind of feed the paper again to the printer and then it prints another layer. It's not like that. You cannot do what you can to achieve what you need to achieve. So it's not about the process. It's mostly about what you want to achieve, and the best example for that is how he advised when doing the sfumato. He said, do the sfumato in your style. So while the paint is wet, achieve sfumato in your style. So he's more focused on the result rather than the process. But how did he do it? Did he like use transparent paint all the time everywhere? And that's the question, right? So no, the answer is no. He used white. Example here, like if you want to create like for the utmost lightness here, you're gonna need to add white to that, so that when you layer your yellow ochre later, it's going to be clean, right? So it's exactly like charcoal drawing. It's just that you're using fluid or wet. You're using a wet medium to create your images. So here right now I'm noticing that I'm moving paint instead of having them stick down. So it means that I've already saturated the surface, and the surface is no longer able to absorb the pigment, the medium. So I'm gonna have to leave that, right? So next time we're gonna add more, depending on how much depth we want to be in here. So it's kind of like that. The thinking, the mindset is not to like be so focused on like, oh, should I like add transparent paint here? Should I use transparent paint here or not? Like, no, that's not how it is. It's better to think about like what do I want to achieve, and then what do I need to do to achieve that. I'm noticing that this brush is good for smooth spreading, especially when the surface is saturated, but for still absorbent area here, it's not that helpful. So let me zoom out my reference. My reference is in the monitor here beside me, and if I make it too large, it's going to be problematic. I'm gonna lose. It's better for me to paint from a small reference to a big painting rather than using a big reference for a smaller painting. So you don't want to fight with a very fluid paint, because fluid mechanics will make you crazy if you try. So right now it's very thin. My paint is very thin, and you don't want to leave, like example, I want a darker color here. I don't want to leave that there without brushing it, because that's gonna leave a mark. But you can actually, but that's gonna interfere with your next layers. So it's better to just, you know, if you want a very thin color, just add more medium to it. And I'm using liquid especially because you don't have to be afraid of it peeling off later. using liquid actually helps, especially when glazing, because it dries fast, and you know, it's a little bit sticky. You can let it like stand for about an hour, and in open air, depending on your temperature in your wherever you are in the world. But right now where I am, it's a little bit, because it's raining and the temperature is higher, is lower. But on daytime and during the summers, my brush strokes kind of dry. Like in 30 minutes, I can like let it rest, then come back to it later at night. But it's not too safe to come back to it late at night, later in the evening, since sometimes some areas are not totally dried out, and if I, you know, touch it, it's just gonna peel off, and you know, that's gonna require me to like use white to clean it up. So here you can also use the stippling technique to spread the paint. I actually feel like my medium is a little bit too wet, and if I wasn't live right now, I would stop what I'm doing and just wait for it to like stick and become a little bit more sticky before continuing. Right now it's too fluid, but you know, you gotta be brave sometimes, because it's too wet like that, right? And I already have the right shade here, and if I add that there, it's gonna pull my pigments from there. See, it's gonna pull at the edges right here, and it's gonna look a little bit weird. So sometimes you end up just spreading it out or just removing it using your brush, just spreading it out. So it's not very efficient. And sometimes what's good about synthetic is because it's very compact, right? The bristles are compact for applying the paint, but on the other side, it's a little bit too compact to allow the paint underneath to at least like remain without being scrubbed. So like here right now, it's too wet. It's kind of just, you know, re-wetting the surface. So it's like painting in gouache, and then you have a dried surface and it's already something that you like, and then you add more wet brush strokes to it, and then it's just gonna peel off. And there's something weird about oils, is because when the surface has already absorbed some oils and then you touch it and then you peel off, right, the oil, right, it's kind of harder to add the paint again. I don't know why that is. Like, it's so much easier to add the paint on the first go then adding it again after like removing the paint that's under there. So right here, right now, I'm having some issues on these parts because it's not the surface is not even. The absorption of the surface is not. So that's where the calcium carbonate comes in when you add your imprimatura. The calcium carbonate will help in creating an absorbent surface that you can paint onto. So I think this is you should leave this alone for now. So I'm just peeling off paint here instead of adding more paint. I'm just peeling them off. Just look at it. I'm just ending up with the same value where I'm touching and I'm pushing the pigments to the sides here. It creates this like a hard hard line that's there. Excuse my my cough. I'm not feeling well. It's a virus, I guess, seasonal. So this is one of the method, right? You draw the line, you spread it out. And then there's also another one that we will have to do later on. After this, after delineating all of these edges, hard edges here, there's really no hard edges in Leonardo's paintings, but they're in within the painting, only within the painting, there are edges that are a little bit harder than others. That clearly defines like a semi hard edge. Right now I can feel that the surface is a little bit sticky, so that might affect how our paintings go. Right here, this should not be dark, it should be light. So I'm just gonna tap on that to remove it and help it spread. It might take some time to get familiar with this method, but it's not hard. It's just it's part of if you're used to like a la prima and having your exact like thick color right there in front of you, then this might be a little bit a challenge, because when I I do different techniques, right? Sometimes I do semi a la prima, sometimes I use different techniques, like sometimes I use a pick, sometimes I use la prima glazing. And when I'm painting like thickly for like a couple of days, like for example I was doing that practice, right? The face practice that it's on here on this channel. When I tried glazing the commission that I had, it kind of threw me off because I was expecting for the paint to be like thickly right there. So just know that, for example, like this is too wet, and I don't wanna like brush it off because it's just gonna pull at the corners of my brush stroke, or wherever it sticks, like wherever it gets stuck. Like if this area here seems to be to have enough oil to not accept more oil in there, so it's gonna be a problem. But so why not just use white right now? I don't know. For me, it kinda like the color is not right, but you can always like add some yellow to it, you know, simulate it, and it's going to be much cleaner if you do that. I guess you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Like here it's very obvious, but I'm just gonna trust the process. Seeing here it's too wet, and let me try something here. I'm just gonna get like a pure oil here and see if I can paint that area. Put some pigments there. Hopefully it's not gonna slide off. Can still see it, but at least it's not too, the stain is not too, yeah. So I guess what's gonna happen here, so just gonna paint over this later on. Like there's a documentary that says Leonardo was very picky about his canvas and how it was prepared, such that when he paints, like similar to like this, and if like the pigment doesn't behave in such a way that he prefers, he's just gonna throw it away. But I don't believe that. So this is not too, so if your medium is sticky or almost at the point of drying, you're not gonna have this problem. So you're not gonna have to deal with water diluting the paint below, or a fluid diluting the paint below. It's not gonna be such, you don't have to be too careful. So they say it's like dry brushing, but it's basically not. Like dry brushing is one way, maybe, could be, You can say it's dry brushing. Almost like dry brushing. So right here I can see that in the original his underdrawing here is still visible. So basically he did a gray underpainting below. This he did a gray of this shading and then just added the burnt umber later on to create the warmer color. So we're skipping that, and what we're gonna do, let me think, if we really wanna copy how this works. So I can just leave it like this. And if I add black, let me see if I can add thin black, really thin black, just to enhance this area here. If we can do that, let's see. So if you want to practice this, it's very simple. Just draw a line with more paint to it and then just spread it out like this. Do the tapping first, and that's gonna mix everything. It's gonna spread and mix. Like here, this is the darkest part, right? So I paint that in, then try to spread it out around. Oh man. Okay, so it's not even. Okay, so we'll just add the black. You can see it here. This area, it's the culprit here. Oopsies. We just took out a bunch of pigments there. Made everything else around it. Okay. So maybe let's try this. It's too wet. It's okay, that's how it works. Sometimes you just have to keep working it. Yeah, I think you guys can see how it became worse and worse as I keep trying to do that. It just became worse. And yep, I'm just pulling it off. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is delete everything. I'm gonna use mess here. And just delete it. Okay, it's okay. It's better to do this than to just let it dry like that. It's better to erase. If I let it dry like that, it's gonna be a problem for the next layers. I know. Color, no. Shoo. My neighbor's cats are they just keep coming. Okay, so let me try another technique. So let's do something like this. Let's add the medium first. Add the pigment. We add more. Okay, so your blender brush, keep it dry and open. If it's no longer dry and open, just get another one. You can just wipe it off with tissue, like what I'm doing here. So the important thing is it's dry, because it's gonna pick up the oils, the paint, I mean. So I got tissue papers here, micro tissue papers. Clean it up. I'm just lightly touching this, cleaning it up as I go. So I don't wanna. So the important thing is it's even, and then that's gonna help me later on. It's even and there's no particles there. So let me look closer. Yeah, we got lots of particles there. So move it out with my finger. This is why Leonardo also used his finger, because sometimes it's easier to just blend things out with your finger. But the fingers are too thick, too big. Okay. let's just move on to other parts. This here doesn't have to be correct right now. We can always add the corrections later. So that gray part, I don't know, I'm just maybe add it later. So kind of broke my flow there. The surface irregularity kind of broke my flow. This is why sometimes super thin layers are on the surface of the Leonardo's work, I guess, from experience. Like, for example, like you can't have a perfect canvas. There's always going to be areas around it that are not as absorbent as the others. So sometimes keeping it thin is your only way to keep it even. If you don't want to add white to it. Let me just see if I can remove this stuff with my palette knife. These are actually dirt. Or is it? Yeah. Actually like hairs. Stuck to a bump here. Okay, I think this weird. So you're slowly like covering up the surface. Oh, it's too dirty. This is normal, by the way. I do this all the time. You have to pick up hair and stuff. Simply because, you know, like what I did with the tissue paper there, I should have like wiped it off. After I wiped it off, I should have wiped it clean, because, you know, tissue paper can have stuff in them, like fibers and stuff. Like right now, there's just, I can see here these parts. And there's actually lots of hair, micro hairs, cat hair. Let's try if I can remove them. Because these micro hairs here, they're gonna clump up as soon as I paint over them. When they get wet, they're just gonna clump up. So I can see a lot of hair here, which I wasn't able to see when I was preparing for the stream. Couldn't see them, but right now it's everywhere. Maybe it's the air quality of the air. My room is not like a painter's room. Like some people have studios, they say that their studios are actually super clean, like no dust anywhere. I don't think Leonardo's studio was that clean, because, you know, it's open to a lot of people. There should be pollen in there. other stuff. Sometimes it's a blessing in disguise to have all of this, because it allows you to, while cleaning, it allows you to spread paint and also slow you down so that your medium can dry up. Alright, let's keep going. Just put some shadows for the hair. Spread out. Paint here. Oh. So also, if I drop my brush like that, it's gonna attract, like, stick a lot of cat hair in there. So I have to wash it. And let's just be careful not to leave hard edges. Just keep everything soft. Just pound them down like that. Just keep it soft. And your initial lines is actually part of the painting, because it's gonna leave like this hard edge underneath, and you know your eyes are gonna pick up on it. So it's still, even if there's like a shading around it, it's still gonna feel solid around that area. It's because of that initial line that we painted. In the past, I thought that you have to remove that initial line, but you know, I realized sometime that those lines are actually helpful in defining the forms. And you can learn the effect by, you know, trying to make your painting blurry. Like you already painted something, then just make the edges blurry. And the way to do that is by like painting over it. There's a name for that. Like I've always like expressed this before when I was glazing. I've always said, oh my god, it's not even, but that's how it is. It's not going to be even. So like here, this is the prime example of fighting with fluid mechanics. Like I want to maintain like an even distribution of fluid at a certain thickness, right? A certain thickness on top of this, which is impossible. Like you can't do that. It has to be thin. It has to be at the right like thinness to be even, because you know you can't possibly like control the water on top. So maybe it's better to just let this place stuff here rest for a moment. Like let's just keep that there. And The question is, why not just use white, like gray, like use instead of using like pure just color transparency, just use white. And you know, that's a valid question. Like sometimes I ask myself that, because it's so much easier to do that than actually trying to achieve an effect like this. It's so much easier to just use, like for here, for example, if I wanted to lighten it up, like I just add white there. Like it's gonna solve this problem. It's not even going to be a problem anymore. And I think that's what's happening in this painting. If you look at the source material, the original, you can see that the burnt umber is just painted on top of the gray, instead of trying to do this thing that I'm doing right now. It's actually painted on top of the gray. Okay, so let's move away from that for a moment. Let's move away from that. And then try doing it later. You know, it makes sense because it's so much easier to do that. I think Leonardo did that. You see, I think he's a practical guy. Like he's a man of science and looking for efficient ways to do things, right? And I base that on his drawings of his designs and his, like that bridge that he designed. I mean, you have to have like a practical mind, be able to want to create stuff like that. So he must have like a practical mind, and he wants to efficiently do something. If he wants to paint something, he just does it in the most efficient way. You know, it's not wrong to do that. If you want to use white, just go ahead. It's like a grisaille. It's fine. You're gonna lose the ethereality and the scratchiness, but no, it's still gonna look good. Right now I'm using burnt umber mixed with black to create this darker areas here, and I'm just trying to be really soft about it. I don't want to pull everything away. And so this is basically the glazing that people are talking about. So you just applying thin layers of paint, and you can't really achieve like a full color immediately because simply because of fluid dynamics. You can't have an even surface of fluid. That's why having a sticky, almost dry medium, but it's kind of like the sticky dry medium is kind of like a replacement of the white and the thickness of the paint. So it kind of helps you even out the distribution of pigment. Without having to have everything like move around. Once you touch it, it moves to the side. It pulls to the side, pull to the side, like what happened here. I'm just gonna let that dry for now. I'm just doing it very slowly, and then I don't have to do this right now because this area is darker and we need to add more pigment here. And besides, in the drawing you can see like there's these edges around here. I just wanna, you know, satisfy my craving to do that. So what it was doing was basically like using wet media to draw like you would in a charcoal drawing or in a what is this, pencil? I don't know why that's escaping my mind. I don't know, like charcoal powder. And I wonder why they don't have that in the past. Like, why don't they use like charcoal powder and then just paint it, shade stuff using charcoal powder? Maybe they did, but none of it survived. Let's just keep it. Let's not rush it. Let's go back to the slow art. Like there's this guy on YouTube who's talking about like the only way to separate yourself from AI content is by creating slow content. Slow, methodical, and content with intention. And I agree. But you know, it's not you don't have to be limited by that. Like you can always edit your videos to present the idea faster, quicker, and then you can have like a detailed version of that. So like me, I'm still gathering all of this like long versions, but you know, somehow someday, maybe if I have enough time, freedom to edit these videos, maybe I'll be able to make the quicker ones, like short, like it's a TLDR versions. of all of these videos. You know, just say something in the video so you can sound smart and stuff like that. Smarter than you are. Okay, I don't know how to do this. I know this is going to be a mistake. I don't know how to do this because this is like a last section. Actually learned a lot by painting that girl with the pearl earrings. By studying the layers, I kinda see the layers that's going on right now. With this, I used to not see this. Now I can see which layer came first. Is it the gray or is it the brown? So it helps. It helps to study paintings. So I'm gonna hopefully, if everything goes well, I'll have like more time, freedom without stress to just study paintings. And, you know, hopefully I can fix my back problem so I don't have to like suffer through every painting. Like right now I can feel my back, the pressure is already building, and you know, sometimes you don't want to force things, especially the back. My mom had an accident with that because her back was she was already feeling the pressure in her back, but she still kept going, still kept working, carrying heavy stuff until it kind of gave way. And you know, regrets won't bring back what you lost, so, right? So it's better to be careful than to have to regret. So for the rest of her life, she had to go through therapy over that, like a few months, and then for years and years and years, you had to, like, until the end, she had to carry that. So it would have been better if she just like let go of that chore, like leave it for like an hour and just rest. You know, you don't have to suffer for like your entire life just because you can't like put down your chore, like your work, for like an hour. Just leave it for an hour, rest, and then come back to it. Okay, so I'm experiencing the same problem here. So I guess it has to do, like, you guys can hear that. It's still sticky. So basically what I'm doing is painting on a tacky surface. So this is going to be the result. So the advice, what you should do is just cover it again with just medium width sodium, calcium carbonate maybe, but if you have liquid you can just use liquid to cover it up. But I already did it here and I'm surprised to see this thing is still tacky. Maybe I'll put this up in the sun tomorrow. I'll just let this like dry under the sun. So I can't work with this. It's no good. This will make the process even harder. When it's supposed to be easy, it's gonna make harder. I had this, I made this canvas in the past for practice, and I just threw it on, like, didn't think about it, just put some gesso with a little bit of, added more like talcum powder on it, or you could use talcum, or talcum that is industrial grade, not the organic one. And there's also an organic calcium carbonate for organic use, and that's, I don't know if that's good, but it's still calcium carbonate. There's a natural calcium carbonate from stone, from rock. There's another one from bones, I guess. I don't know. I'm not too sure about that. This is the only way I can work with this evenly. If I just keep using this brush as a lay down those paint, but this is not gonna be good. So what this is going to do is like it's not gonna fix the underlying problem of the tackiness of this surface. So I'm gonna do tomorrow is just put this up in the sun and let it dry for a couple of days, maybe until all of this tackiness is gone. I don't know what's wrong with this. I never had something like this. Like it's been a couple of weeks, right? But it's still tacky. I don't know, maybe the gods want me to talk about this, maybe experience this, so that on more serious projects we don't suffer this. This thing. So let's just add a few more here. Even my cat has a cold, and she's pregnant. It's first pregnancy. Look at this. I just rub it, and if I rub it, I'm gonna pull some of those tacky surface down below, and that's gonna make all of this like bumps, micro bumps. It's gonna make things look a little bit messy, but that's okay. Just paint with this, maybe. Let's see how it goes. So when you're painting on a tacky surface, like, your brush is going to jump around, right? It's not gonna be like smoothly glide over that. That's why it works if I do this, because it's gonna like put paint without the skipping, right? But then you can only like place enough, because the tackiness is going to be disappear, right? Because you now have oil filling that surface, So now what follows is this uneven area now, because some of it is going to be pulled out. Like, look at this. Some of it has gotten removed. Then we have hair here stuck to that area. Now just keep doing this. So it's like painting on grime, right? Some areas are gonna pull and some areas are scratched off. Like here you can see that this area has been scratched off by it kind of liquefied because of the medium, because it's not dry, and then the medium kind of just wet it. It's just like what happens when you're painting with gouache, right? I can't see what's happening here. I'm doing this because it's okay, because this is a hair, this is black area here. So I can just fill this later. Just I'll have to fix this. Let me take some water. I painted on good canvas. It's not even perfect, it's just not tacky. And it was good. So I'll just have this dried out and then come back to it maybe next week. So I have to deal with a lot this week. So I have stuff that I have to do. I've like done most of what I need to do for the past weeks. I like solved a lot of problems, and so a lot more needs to be solved. So I guess that's the lesson for today. Right, before you do your glazing, check that it's thoroughly dry. There's no tackiness, no sticky. Everything should be like paper. It should feel like paper. Or if you're using liquid, it should be like a glossy surface, like a plastic kind of thing. So I wonder, maybe I should just, I'll let this dry and then paint over it with some liquid and then let it dry in the sun. So underneath it will be a little bit wet like this. I don't know what the hell this is, why it's tacky. It's like my my call this varnish. It's a weird varnish. It doesn't dry. Like it dries after a month or so, and it's still tacky. I don't know what kind of varnish that was. Slow drying varnish. So you can hear it. It's sticky. So anyway, that's it for me for now, and hope to see you next time.